Hello and welcome to James Plays Hearts of Iron 4. Super excited to get into this. So before I even touch the keyboard, I just loaded up this game, new game. Before I touch anything, let me just explain what's going on. So, game, Hearts of Iron 4, World War II simulator. If you haven't heard of it, look it up or just keep watching. It's awesome. Number 2, we're playing as Germany. In 1936, we've done the 1936 start, and I have not touched anything, so you'll get to see me do everything. This is going to be a bit of a learning game for you guys. I've played a number of practice games, so I can pretend to know what I'm doing. But for the viewers, this will be a bit of a, I'll go slow and explain things as I'm doing them. Um, and here we are. So, we've just started the game. First things first, we've got a bunch of notifications at the top. So I'm going to jump straight to national focus, and we are going to. So national focuses, these are just it's kind of like a tech tree, but customized for each nation. It's like ideas in Europa Universalis for, um, they're kind of cool. So we are going to do army innovations. Normally people start with the Rhineland, which is to remilitarize the Rhineland, which was as part of the Treaty of Versailles, demilitarized after the First World War. However, we're not really going to do that because that's not important to me. I'm going to take things slow a bit. We're not going to start the war right in 1939, possibly per se. But I have a sneeze. I have a sneeze coming on. Is it gonna? No, it's not gonna. Okay. So, so we're going to take things a little slower. All right. What's next? Research. So part of the national focus that we just took gives us research bonus for land doctrine. Um, so for our land doctrine, which is these are all our research tabs. This is infantry, support battalions, armor, research tanks, artillery, which is important, land doctrine. So you can select one, and we're pre-selected for mobile warfare, which is like Blitzkrieg. Grand battle plan is like heavily coordinated battles, sort of like World War One-esque. Mass assault is just tons of troops, and superior firepower is just shoot lots of stuff at them. Um, so we're not going to research that because once our national focus finishes in 70 days, we will have a research bonus for it. So we're going to hold off on that. What we are going to research is, let's take a look at infantry. We want support weapons. So for me, infantry equipment, excuse me, infantry equipment is something we want to keep up to date. Um, and, oh, sorry, ignore that sound. We're going to research paratroopers, but we don't, well, yeah, we're going to research paratroopers because we're going to use those. What else are we going to use? Also, there's dates. So if we try to research the 1939 technology, that would be ahead of time. So we're going to suffer a big penalty for that. So don't really need any of these as of yet. Armor, we're all up to date except for self-propelled artillery, which is like variations on the tank. Um, that's not your steam pinging, by the way. That's mine. Don't worry about that. Artillery, we can do interwar artillery, which gives us artillery bonuses. But let's see if there's something that we need to produce. We're all caught up on airplanes, which we don't get the new ones till 1940. Air doctrine. Oh, engineering. Okay, so this is important because this gives us uh, faster research time. It seems like a small bonus, but it adds up. So we're going to get that one. And then we're all good on that. Industry. And we're going to get basic machine tools because more industry means the more stuff you can produce, means the more troops you can have. So right now, these are our production lines. We're short some resources, and we'll deal with that in a second. So we're producing some airplanes, some close air support, some tactical bombers, some submarines with our dockyards. We're going to set these to automatically attach to that fleet, and you attach to Kriegsmarine, and attach to Kriegsmarine. We'll deal with the Navy in a minute, but I'm just going to set those for now before we unpause. Gosh, we're still paused. So we have some available military factories. You can see right up here, we're using 20 out of our 40 military factories, which means we've got lots. So we need lots of fighters. We're gonna set that to max and probably leave it there. We're also gonna need more of that. Maybe that not that much more. We're gonna need some more artillery and more more. These are trucks for motorized infantry. Because I've got in my head, I know what we're planning here. Um, Please excuse the sniffling. There's a cat in the house, and I'm allergic to cats. Oh, and we have dockyards. Because we're the Germans, we need submarines. So we're just gonna set all those to submarines. And see, these gray ones means those will fill up as we get more, which we will. Civilian factories. Right now, we're not building anything with it. We're gonna build synthetic refineries. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can build. Infrastructure, which helps transport things. Air bases, we've got enough of. Anti-air, I generally don't bother with too much unless we're losing in the air. Uh, we can build more military factories, or we can use our civilian factories to build more civilian factories. We can build more dockyards, rocket site and nuclear reactors. Those come later, obviously. Naval bases for basing ships, how quickly they repair. Fortifications, and we can convert civilian factories to military factories and vice versa. But for now, we're going to focus on building these refineries, these synthetic refineries. So these make oil. You can see oil and rubber, which is important because those are two things that we are sorely needing right now. And the way trading works is you trade away your civilian factories for the goods. So because the war hasn't started, we can trade with the United Kingdom. So we would trade 3 civilian factories for 24 rubber. So we're going to go ahead and do that so that we can produce, and we'll just unpause it just a day or an hour. And so that's taken effect. So, or it will in a minute once those convoys arrive. Oil, we'll buy from the US of A. Actually, we're just going to play it on speed 1 for now. Everything else we've got a surplus of. So these, as long as we have these filled up, then our production will not suffer any malices. Um, Finally, we have no divisions in basic training, so I'm going to train SS, which is motorized infantry. So we're going to add a few of those. We're going to train some irregular infantry, again in Brandenburg, train some of those. And we're going to train some panzer divisions. Set those over in here in Hanover. And that's 4, 4, 4. We're going to ignore the cavalry, and actually, we will change this. This will become our military police, because cavalry is really good for military police, and you'll see why we need that later. All right, well, let's speed things up here. And we've got lots of manpower, and all right, so now that all that is set, now we need to set our front lines. We can deal with the Navy in a second. So we're Germany, so the odds of us invading Poland, pretty good. So we are going to hit this button here to create a new army and front line and just click that like that and these guys will automatically go and form a front line. We can do the same with all these armies here. Form a front line. So now this is our Polish theater. Polish theater. There we go. And we should assign some commanders. So this 14 unit army here. Gunther von Kluge. Actually, max entrenchment is good when you're defending. Ooh, there's Rommel, and this guy's Manstein is also quite good. We're gonna save these two guys for some wars that are actually gonna happen before we go to war with Poland. So we'll just set a generic nobody there, and this guy doesn't have any bonuses either, so we'll set them there. So there's those guys. I'm gonna put a cut in here, and I'll be right. And we're back. I literally just went and blew my nose. All right, so we have to look at where we're going to go to war with next. And let's unpause here. We've got lots of time before any fighting is going to happen. The first thing that's going to happen is the Spanish Civil War, which in 36, I think, the fascists in Spain went to war with everyone else in Spain. So the communists and the Democratists, as they're represented in this game, was much more complicated than that. But they all went to war with the fascists, and in real life, the fascists won and Franco became the leader of Spain until the 70s when he died. History lesson. Uh, may not happen like that, and I've seen the Republicans, as they're called, um, the other guys, win the Spanish Civil War. But one of the things we can do is send volunteer divisions. So once that breaks out, you'll get to see that, and our troops will actually get to fight a bit. But the next thing we need to do is set these guys to the front line of Czechoslovakia and Slovak, whatever. And we'll just set this to a new theater. Um, we're just going to call this Czech. Let's say, yeah, that's how you spell check yourself. There we go. So that's the check yourself theater. Um, I bet Czech people really are really fed up with the puns of their nationality, but we won't stop. All right, and then we're just going to right click there with these guys selected to assign them to the theater, and then division assignment mode, and we're going to click on this front line. And now all these guys have orders and they will automatically assign to that front line. Let's just set a commander, and this will be, yeah, this will be our Heinz Guderian. So the first thing that's going to happen, I mean, we're going to Anschluss Austria. Actually, we can see that in the focus tree. That's where this happens. So Rhineland is first, then the Anschluss of Austria, which is German for annexation. So we get Austria just for free. We just, all this land just becomes ours, which is awesome. Then one of the things that happens after that is we demand the Sudetenland? Sudetenland, yes, that's how you say that. Which is, we can go into states. Is there a state? Yeah, states. So see this yellow Sudetenland. So we demand that from from Czechoslovakia. So Germany sends an official communique to the government of Czechoslovakia saying, "Give us this land. It is ours." And normally, because we're big and strong and we have all these troops on the border, they say, "Yeah, sure, okay, don't mind us." And those poor Czechoslovaks are deprived of the Sudetenland. And then further along down this chain of demand Sudetenland, um, after the first Vienna Award, which gives some of their land to Hungary, I believe. Yes, yes, I think it does. Um, it doesn't exactly say. It just says the event happens, which I think is Hungary. And then Fate of Czechoslovakia, which gives. Oop, we just finished our national focus. Um, yes, we are going to do this treaty with the USSR. This isn't the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which is to split Germany. This is a different treaty. Um, so what I was talking about before, this gives me an option to take over Czechoslovakia or puppet it or do whatever. So this is really good. This is just free land. This is like the free land part of the tree. The one we just did, treaty with the USSR. So if the Soviet Union agrees to this, it reduces the ahead of time penalty by 100% for the technology's Panzerkampfwagen 3, which is, I'll go into research here, which is this one. So in 70 or less days now, that will finish, and we'll be able to research the Panzer III, the 1939 technology, in 1936, which is really, really, really good, because we have these awesome tanks now, way before we're supposed to have them. It's really, really good. So that's a good thing to do. Oh, we can modify our government. So we have all these options here. These are to add people to our government, or we can change some of our laws. So we have partial mobilization, limited exports, and limited conscription. So conscription, obviously we're not going to go volunteer only, but we can increase conscription, but I don't want to do that right now because that increases the training time. Limited exports, we're fine with where we are, I think. Free trade gives, let me explain this. Where's our trade? Trade. So you can see oil. So we produce 4 oil and we have to export one of it, which seems silly, right? Here's aluminum. Why are we forced to export some aluminum? But that's because of these. Oh, that's handy. I will just set that next one up for mechanical computing, which gives us a further bonus. So you're thinking, why do we have to, export some of our stuff? But that's because we have limited exports. So resources to market plus 25%. So we have to sell those. If we do closed economy, no resources are exported, but we don't get any of the bonuses. See factory output, construction speed, or research time. We don't get any of those bonuses. So I could go to closed economy, but also there's other requirements. We have to be at war and yada, yada, yada. So we're just going to add a political advisor here. Obviously not a communist revolutionary or a democratic reformer. Maybe, yeah, I'm going to go with a silent workhorse, which gives us more political power. So that's kind of an early investment. Um, One of the popular strategies is to try and influence the United States using this boost party popularity is to make them fascist. We're not going to do that. This is a basic game. We're kind of going to stick to the basic strategies. We're not going to try and, influence anyone to do anything they wouldn't otherwise do. I have historical focuses off, which means countries won't feel compelled to do what they did historically, but um, we're not going to try and stray too far from history. All right, so this is our, oh, that's Undersea Bhutan, and this is Kriegsmarine. So we have 4 fleets right now, and I'm going to make them into 2 because I'm not so good at organizing the fleets, and I want it to be easier on me. So that's 2 battleships and 8 destroyers, and they're going to meet up with the Kriegsmarine, which is 3 battleships, 6 cruisers, light cruisers, and 5 destroyers. So now, oh, and these undersea boots are going to go there to meet up with the other undersea boots. So we have 2 fleets. 2 fleets. One fleet is all our regular ships. So these we'll use to protect our convoys and stuff like that. These are regular ships, and we're going to give them a commander. Not Carl, because he's good with submarines. Yeah. Eric Rader. And then these submarines we're going to merge together. And the submarines are going to be commanded by Carl Donitz, who's a sea wolf. So submarines we'll use to hunt convoys, and then the regular fleet will do other stuff with. All right, more troops. Those are going to go to the Czech border. At some point, we're also going to have to assign some troops to the French border because see, they've got the Maginot line here, so we can't possibly get through this, but they may be able to, depending on how things go. We'll probably know beforehand if we're going to end up at war with France and or Belgium and the Netherlands and Luxembourg, terrifying as they may be. So we'll probably have some warning. Oh, okay, so we just finished our national focus, but the British also did a national focus that we can probably see. Um, hmm, is it? Ah, yes, Benelux intervention. So they did this to get support for basically bring Belgium and the Netherlands onto kind of their sphere of influence. So I haven't played as Brit, so I'm not exactly sure how it works exactly, but this is one of their kind of historical things that they can do. All right, so are we going to go for, oh yes, the Soviets accept. All right, now we're going to do the Rhineland. So the Soviets have accepted that treaty, and we can start researching that tank. Um, and we're probably going to put it in our Panzer division. We may, what's the combat width of this? 12, yeah, that's not good. Oh, we can modify our government again. We're going to add a tank designer. And I normally go with man because they give a soft attack bonus. Soft attack is just attack against, like, infantry troops, boots on the ground type thing. Whereas hard attack is attack against, like, hard things like tanks and stuff. We just got basic machine tools, so we're going to go for concentrated industry, which just gives us more industrial boosts. So we've got our paratroopers, we have mechanical computing, which is research boosts. We have the tanks, and we have concentrated industry. At a certain point, we will also get another research slot, and I'm about to sneeze again. Excuse me. I hope you didn't all go deaf there. All right. So now it's a bit of a waiting game as we wait for this Rhineland to go, and we've got a lot more national focuses to take care of before we even think about going to war. Particularly this entire industrial tree. Here's our extra research slot. Um, we may sign the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. I'm debating it. We really, 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 really don't want to go to war with the Soviet Union because I mean, we're Germany. We want to win, right? We want to win the war. So, um, so we're gonna try and take Poland. How's Poland doing here? They are not in a faction. Sometimes this happens. Poland forms its own faction. So they don't ally with the United Kingdom and France. So I can declare war on them without worrying about these guys. Japan, meanwhile, will be invading China shortly. and Italy should be finishing up in Ethiopia. Yeah, Italy's fighting a war in Ethiopia right now, which is, historical. And so they are going to take over Ethiopia, the last free African country, as you can see. Oh, and I think there's Liberia, which I wouldn't call a free African country, but um, yeah. So this is all colonized. So a lot of fighting is going to happen here between Italy and Germany and UK and France and all that. Spanish Civil War should be happening soon. Yeah, the if you're not one of the major countries, you just get a generic tree. This is the same for everyone. So industrial, naval, blah blah blah. All right. Um, yeah, it's pretty quiet for now. Our fleets are good. Let's check our logistics. So these are things we're not producing enough tanks, trucks, or supplies, but we're producing enough artillery and guns. So what we're gonna do is cut back on that slightly, bump up on that, cut back on that, bump up on that. And you can see these gray bars are the efficiency. So if this gray bar is all the way at the start, um, you won't be producing very many. But if it's all the way here, then you'll be producing tons. And the number of factories also affects it. We need some more of these. And I'm just going to keep... Oh, paratroopers. Nice. What do we want next? What's it? Still 1936. Still researching that tank. We're actually going to go for self-propelled artillery. So I'm not going to worry about any artillery here, and you'll see why the self-propelled artillery is better. Now that we have, we're going to do that now that we've got the bonus for it. All right. Ooh. In order to reorganize our divisions, which I can show you how to do right here, um, we need army experience. So that's a thing that we collect. I'll put another cut in. I'll be right back. And we're back. There should be no interruption for you. So I'm about to wrap up this episode. However, we just remilitarized the Rhineland, which is really, really exciting for us here. So now, let's just pause. We finished that. Now, this area here, these two states, Moselland and Rhineland, we can now use and put troops in and stuff like that. So that's the first in our stepping stone to conquering the world. We still need more troops before we can Anschluss, and we can choose what we're going to do, but that will happen in the next episode. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.